If you want to start a small business or find new ways to grow, you can get help from the federal government. The Small Business Administration has a number of programs that can help with anything from financing to technical assistance and information about government contracts. To tell us what's available in the Boston area is the SBA's District Director for Massachusetts, Bob Nelson. Thank you very much for being with us, Bob.
Thank you, Chris. Glad to be here.
I want to start with something basic. How small and how big can a business be to sort of fit into your program?
I can tell you 99% of the businesses in Massachusetts are eligible as small businesses and can qualify for SBA programs and assistance. So you can be pretty large and still be small by SBA size standards. So size shouldn't be an impediment to anyone reaching out to the SBA looking for help.
By the way, when you're talking about starting up a new company, what kinds of help can you offer people? Because it seems you go really down to basics, including, where should we go and what's the competition like? You can help people with that, can't you?
When it comes to technical assistance, we try to make sure that small businesses have the knowledge and skills so that they can successfully run small businesses. So we touch on all of the various topics that a small business owner would come across as they're trying to start the business from inception and from idea to growing that business and all the different challenges that a business will face. And so we want businesses to establish relationships, long-term relationships with the Small Business Development Center, with the SCORE organization, with the Center for Women in Enterprise, and keep coming back over and over again. It's not just a one and done. You need to constantly come back and be nimble as a small business owner so that you can react to changing environments and changing economies.
Well, one of the things you do to help businesses grow is lead them to more information about government contracts. What about the kinds of businesses that could benefit from that? Because we're not talking about military, obviously, in most cases, but what kinds of things can businesses do that the government would be interested in?
So we do some military work and some military contracts, and so one of the small business owners that I've been talking about is a lady by the name of Tanya Johnson, and she got introduced to the SBA a couple of years ago, went through our Emerging Leaders program, graduated through that curriculum, then she applied for our 8A government contracting certification program. She was certified as an 8A business that enables her to get some contracting advantages, and she was able to get a contract with Otis on Cape Cod, and also a relatively sizable contract with the Coast Guard. So, her connection with the SBA, it's life-changing for that business.
What does her company do exactly?
Well, she started off as a baking company, so baking, natural baked goods, and so the contracts that she was able to get are, food services and chef services, and now running a kitchen, with the Coast Guard. But with those contracts, combined, she was able to create 11 jobs.
You mentioned the Emerging Leaders program that you took part in. What does that do exactly?
So the Emerging Leaders program, it's a 7-month, very intensive technical assistance program. SBA underwrites 100% of the cost of the program. Boston was one of the initial cities 10 years ago. It's now in over 60 cities across the United States, but it runs the full gamut, from developing your elevator pitch to understanding the numbers to developing a 3-year growth and action plan. That's the end product of the Emerging Leaders, that growth and action plan. But the classes, they meet in the evenings. We know that these are business owners. It's not for startups. Businesses need to have at least $400,000 in revenues, typically 3 years in sales. These are for businesses that want to grow jobs and are dedicated and committed to putting the time in to work on their business so that they can take it to the next level.
Well, it's one thing to help a baking company realize it can do something for the Coast Guard, but I guess the other thing that businesses have to do, whenever they make the jump into a contract, they have to expand their capacity, maybe get some new equipment. Can you help them with that?
Absolutely. So, SBA, we're probably most well known for our loan programs. And with SBA, we don't lend money directly. What we do is we provide a guarantee in order to help the lender to get comfortable enough to say yes and to make the loan happen. And often small businesses, the only way they're going to access that capital is with an SBA guarantee. And I can tell you, in Massachusetts last year, we helped about 2,800 small businesses to get close to $700 million worth of capital support. And the smallest loan was for $1,000, the largest loan all the way up to $5 million. So pretty diverse mix of the loan sizes. Most of our loans tend to be $350,000 or less, but we finance equipment, we finance change of ownerships, inventory. We can actually finance those contracts with our contract line of credit. We do revolving lines of credit for working capital, permanent working capital. But that's my strong suit. I love working with small businesses on the loan side. I was a banker before joining the SBA, and we're really successful here in Massachusetts with the SBA loan programs. We're one of the most productive SBA offices in the U.S. in terms of loan approvals.
Now, there are many businesses run by immigrants, and maybe they're not too deeply embedded in the mainstream banking system, but they do have some money and a good performance record maybe. So how do you help them bridge over to the sources of finance?
So within the SCORE network and also the SBDC, so if someone is not proficient in a language, so on my staff I have a couple folks who are bilingual, Chinese, Hispanic, and the SBDC has some folks who are bilingual, SCORE also. But if we need translation services, we can certainly work with a small business through translation. That's something that we can help with. But making that initial step and making that appointment with a SCORE mentor and sitting down and sharing your ideas as far as what your concept is, what your plan is, what you want to try to do, and having someone that you can bounce ideas off of, really important. And I don't think it matters whether you're an immigrant or whether you're native, but that mentor network, the technical assistance is really critical. But we do a lot of work with immigrant entrepreneurs, and we have many successes over the years that I can think of.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Bob Nelson from the Small Business Administration. Bob, I want to ask you about one of those other success stories, an immigrant from Sierra Leone, I think. She was in clothing design?
Yeah, she's in clothing design, and Zainab Sumu, S-U-M-U, is the name of her business, and it's clothing design. She's doing extremely well, and so she got connected through the SBA through the Center for Women in Enterprise, which is one of our other funded resource partners, and she went through a class similar to the Emerging Leaders program with the Center for Women in Enterprise. The curriculum is called Power Up. But again, it's a 13-week class taking that small business owner through all of the different stages, all of the different aspects of running a business. And the Center for Women in Enterprise, they're here in Boston, they're in Central Mass, out in Westboro, but they also have offices in Providence and New Hampshire, and also up in Vermont. So.
Now, I realize from looking over your website is that there are sort of set-asides for small businesses. So I guess if nothing else, it stands to reason that there's something to gain by registering, at least, if nothing else, right?
Absolutely. So, together with my staff, we're working hard to try to make sure that small businesses in the community know about our certification programs, and to consider maybe getting into government sales as a way to try to increase revenues, diversify their customer base. The government pays their bills, they pay timely, and the government buys a lot of stuff, not just military guns and bullets, and they're buying IT, furniture, cleaning services, a lot of construction. We have a number of firms in construction trades, environmental, remediation services. But we want these small businesses to consider maybe getting certified through the SBA, through our 8A program, through our Hub Zone program. We also have a women's contracting program. As far as our contracting efforts, we also have a what we call the All Small Mentor Protege program, where we pair a small business with a mentor business in order to try to build capacity with that small business. And that's a relatively new program that the SBA has launched. It might be out 3/4 of a year now.
And you have a very short name for your website, so people can look that up?
SBA.gov. So, and then if they want to get into the Massachusetts information, just put /MA on the back of it. You'll get my directory of my staff, my contact information, our event calendar. You'll get a pop-up asking you to sign up for e-updates. Please sign up for e-updates. It's the only way that you're going to be able to know about all the different happenings that we're involved in with our partners, lots of workshops, lots of opportunities. We have a big event coming up the end of February for Black History Month, where we're going to have a finance panel, also a government contracting panel, but we're going to have some fun with it also. We're going to have some food, some music, some history. We have a gentleman coming in and who's going to be talking about the Civil War in the 54th Regiment. I think it's going to be real interesting. It's something that we try to do where it's not just, PowerPoints and you have to, provide forums that are education and entertaining, and we'll bring people out so that they'll come.
Thank you very much for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Bob Nelson from the Small Business Administration.